Hello everyone, and welcome to my shitty investment guide. I've made a tier list yesterday and posted it to various channels, and I thought I'd put my thoughts about how to invest properly and what units to invest in into that tier list, which didn't work out that well because turns out that a tier list kind of lacks a lot of the context you need to make good decisions in this game. So I'll start from the ground up. I'll put out some ideas which I think are useful to evaluate when and how to invest and what to look out for and what kind of to think about when considering which units to invest in. And at the end I'll show my team as an example, and hopefully you can use these rules to go higher in Arena without spending your diamonds on stupid things. And at the end I'll have my tier list, which hopefully should make some more sense with all the things I'm saying now. So the first thing I want to talk about is shelf life and return of investment. What does this mean? Let's take a unit like Seer. Seer is recommended by lots of players from the start of the game. When the game released in Global and EU, lots of people said, reroll for Seer. So here we have Seer. I got her in March, which was release. And I got her to +9 relatively quickly, which carried me to Arena and through PvE, some Evil Castle, stuff like that. So from March to, I think I may have cut her in maybe July, something like that. I could use Seer reasonably well. So this time frame is what we're talking about. Okay, so at some point in June or something, she fell off. I kind of felt like I wanted something else in Arena, but obviously you have invested books, and so you can't really just replace a unit in this game, right? So now you can consider whether for this period of time this was a good investment for a few months, getting through PvE easily without having to think too hard, which is good, I think. And whether this was a good return of investment, okay? So I used her for all this time. And what you need to think about is that every unit has a shelf life, okay? What I mean by this is units will eventually get power crept or will be replaced by other things just because the meta changes. In case of Seer, I don't think she has been power crept per se. There have been other alternatives like Aaron, who's pretty good. People like Aaron. So there were alternatives from the start of the game, but this is where I think the shelf life for Seer ended. Like the meta didn't even change all that much, or not only, but people got their attackers to +9, got multiple attackers to +9, and suddenly they can kill Seer very easily instead of her soaking up all the opponents as she did when the game released. Hell has a similar problem, right? Hell, very good at the start of the game, gets you through PvE, but falls off at some point. And that's when the shelf life of the unit is kind of over. Okay, and you need to consider whether in that time that you get to use a unit at its full potential, you think this is a good return of investment. Okay, what she brings to your team. So in case of Seer, I got her to +9. No regrets on my side. I think it was a decent return of investment. Thankfully, we got the free transfer tickets. I think otherwise it may have cost me a lot of diamonds to transfer her skill ups to the unit I more or less replaced her with which is Cecilia. But we got to do it for free, so that's good. So think about that, okay? Shelf life. Every unit has a shelf life. better units have a longer shelf life, and return of investment. Go to point 2, which is investing and foresight. So what do I mean by that? If we look at the Korean meta, we can tell that or what units will release in the future. We don't know exactly when. They switched up the Ana release, stuff like that, but we kind of know what's coming. You're going to spend 1 book, and then you're going to spend the other 4 next month, and the other 4, something like that. You're going to have a at plus 12 in like 2 months, okay? This is terrible. There's a lot of time has passed. Other people have had Cecilia from July. At this point, maybe counters have been released. You don't know. Okay? So you want to consider what units are coming when. You want to save up, you want to plan ahead, and you also want to think about whether units will be directly power crept, like Aaron and Kaoli, for instance, who basically does the same thing as Aaron. You know Kaoli is coming, so do you want to invest into Aaron right now? Maybe not. Okay? So the lesson here is you don't want to go step by step. You want to think ahead, save, and you want to be the cool kid, okay? You want to take all your resources and boom, get Cecilia to plus 12 immediately, okay? Let's talk about resources. Okay. Why are these important? Obviously, with ancient coins and with legend skill books, you're going to put them into legend units. What's interesting about these is that they're time gated. So you can only buy 2 legend books a month. So this makes the issue I just mentioned even worse. Right? If you're gonna pull an Asmode today, you're gonna pull Asmode in July. Maybe you can buy 2 books for him in July. Okay, you don't have any saved up. You're gonna know that I would consider him usable at plus 6. That you can use him at plus 6 in September. Okay, who knows what's happening in September? Maybe 6th Devil renewal is happening in global. Maybe it's happening a day later. Everything gets energy shield. Asmode is useless. Okay, so you lose with legend units that take a lot of investment, like Asmode. You lose the foresight, or you don't lose it. But if you decide to invest, you run the risk of the things you can't foresee to impact your investment in a bad way. Okay, because ancient coins are time gated. You're gonna need soul gear pieces and gold to buy soul gear to get your unit to plus 10, because you can only have plus 15 units, which mostly will be the level you want to get to if you have all 3 soul gears at level 10. So you will need lots of these, and you will also need 3 pieces for the unit. So if you lack one of those, that's pretty awful. So you want this shit saved up, preferably in a sale, like the one that's upcoming. You're gonna want these. Diamonds, you want to pull helpers. Now you get other stuff besides that, but for the meta right now, I'd consider helpers to be the most useful thing diamonds have going for them, because of the pity system, right? So with the pity system, about 5k is a guaranteed helper. 5k diamonds. So depending on the unit, Cecilia, you can save up 10k. If you knew Cecilia was coming, you had 10k, you could get 2 helpers if you want to get her to plus 12. Kaoli, I'm not sure, but Delvi, probably also okay at plus 12. You save up 10k, you get 2 helpers. That's fine. The other resource is 5-star skill books and transfer tickets, or transfers. It's basically the same thing, right? They're just probably maybe easier to get than helpers. So Cecilia, if you get 2 helpers but you don't have any skill books, she's +2 because of helpers, but you can't skill her up further. It's garbage, right? So you want to save these up. Thankfully for the helpers, we had the free transfers. So that made it easier to get the unit to an appropriate skill level, even if you didn't save up that much. But yeah, in the future, I don't suppose we'll get them every month from now on. That would be nice, but I don't think that's a reasonable expectation. So you want to save up on those. If there's a unit in the future that you want to invest in, okay? Because ideally, you want to drop 9 of those at once, get the soul gear, and get the helpers with diamonds. Okay? So I hope all of this makes sense to you guys, because now we're gonna look at an example for this. And that's gonna be my team for before helpers released. So this was my team before helpers released. As you can see, it's decent. I still run Seer. I think I put Vanaka here, but doesn't really matter. My attackers are kind of bad. Foxy is okay. But as you can see, if Foxy dies and Asmode hits something he doesn't kill, like a Lucius or Mamoneer or Velfern, if Foxy dies because she hits a Seer on Taunt or something, I don't really have a lot going for me, right? Leto just hits one thing. Velfern hits a lot, but he will also eat like a Seer Taunt on the next turn. Yeah, if he hits a taunt and Foxy is dead, I'm probably gonna lose with this team, right? But thankfully, I know what's upcoming, and I saved, right? So what you want to do when you consider what to invest in is you want to fill gaps in your team. Now, my team is pretty established, which kind of makes it harder when you start out. Your team is only gaps, right? Yeah. You don't have all the skill books you need. You never have all the skill books you need. But I have Lucius, that's good. I have Foxy, that's good. They might not be the best at what they do. I have Walia. It's fine, right? I have some gaps. Like, my attackers are bad, so I probably want an attacker. So now you can just consider what you would invest in with a team like this. You can also trash talk my team in chat if you like, or shout at me in Discord that my team is shit. It's pretty shit. Like yeah, it's not great, but you got a deal, right? So ideally, I would want something like an Ana maybe, but with the buffs, probably my actual issues are Levia and Mamoneer. So what I decided to do was I already had Ana +0, but fair enough, and I saved up lots of skill books, right? And what I decided to do was save up for Cecilia, so I have a better roadblock lane, and then try my luck at getting Barbara helpers. And if I luck sack X Barbara helpers, I think I needed to get 2 or something relatively quickly to afford Barbara 15. And then I would have a nice attacker. Barbara solves my issue of Mamoneer, she solves my issue of Levia, and hopefully Velfern isn't too big of an issue, right? As I can tell now in Arena, didn't exactly work out that way, so my team still isn't perfect, but I'm getting there and it's a lot better than before. So I massed the resources, I mathed it out, it's not that hard, and yeah, I got an attacker, I got a Cecilia, +12, and it's good. And I have some diamonds left over to consider like Stella, Delvi, I also have AC left because I'm not going to spend AC on Lucius. Asmode is +6, and I'm not going to up Wulfern to more than +3, right? So I have some wiggle room to do something with 6 Devil Helpers once they arrive. Okay? So this is kind of the thought process I have when considering what units to invest in. Like, Barbara's probably gonna stay relevant for a while too, because Kaoli is coming out and she has a reflect, so she dies, yada yada. Incidentally, there's another reflect unit coming out in Korea right now, so yeah, I think Barbara was a good call. Would I invest into Barbara if I had no skillbooks saved up? Maybe not. It's hard to say. If I hadn't gotten, if I hadn't luck sacked Barbara helpers and the free Barbara helper and the free Barbara we got that you can use as a skill up also helped. So if I hadn't gotten those, I could get Anastasia +9. That would also mostly do the same thing, I think. Okay, so I've outlaid my thought process a bit on what I look for, how I consider my investments. Okay, so I'm gonna put my tier list that everyone trash talked for good reasons. Okay. Okay, so where did I put things and why? I tried to consider what units seem to have viability in Korea, even in the future. What units are dropping off. What units I would consider budget units. This is mostly for people starting out, or if you have shit warriors like me, or shit units, to fill certain roles. You can probably get away with using budget options for a long time. These are either 4-star units, 3-star units, or units 5 stars that are easy to get, like Gunther, and usable at +0, like I, right? So obviously these aren't great. The budget units aren't great. You don't want to use them, but you need to fill your gaps, right? And you can fill some of your gaps with these without going hard onto into 5-star characters. So that's good. Yeah, you could. I don't want to go too far into this, right? Some of these drop off. Some of these, like Wilhelmina, can maybe go to okay or whatever. We can have a discussion about that. But I think there was already a pretty good discussion on Reddit. I put Serendia here. I'm not actually sure how to evaluate 4-star helpers, how hard they are to get. Would you consider them budget? Would you not? I don't know. It's hard to say. Serendia is nice because you can also use her Novice Arena and crush everyone with it. So yeah, hopefully if you look at what I said earlier, if you should know what the gaps in your team are, and you can fill those gaps. And maybe this tier list helps you consider your investments. And hopefully you will make safe investments, or you will make unsafe investments and they pay off, or they don't, right? I mean, there's some stuff on here that used to be good, or that's going to be good for a short period of time, like Eindolin, Mamo, Eindolin, Cecilia. Those are good if nobody has Barb 15, which is the case in EU. Like, if you have this combo in EU right now, Eindolin Mamo or Eindolin Cecilia, you're going to be GM. If your Mamo is high enough, right? Because nobody invested into Barb. So at least some of these are also meta dependent. But if you have it right now, that's good. If you are starting now, this is not a good endpoint for you. Eindolin Mamo is a good combo to have now. It's not a good combo to start investing in now. And that's the difference. Like, if you have Aaron +5 or +9 or +10 or whatever, that's great. Obviously, you're going to use him because you can't just replace him with something else. That said, maybe you shouldn't invest in him. If you yeah, maybe you should just wait a month, get Kaoli, and have a better Aaron. Okay? These are the kind of processes that are behind what I'm trying to get at here. Okay? So, I hope this helps some people, or I hope maybe some people are mad and think I'm trash at the game, which is probably true. Feel free to comment or talk to me in Discord, and we can have a chat. Yeah, have a good one, everyone.